All right, let's talk about something huge. Think about this. There's this massive, almost invisible river of money flowing through our economy every single year. And hidden inside that flow, yeah, that's where people are becoming billionaires. And sometimes it seems like it happens overnight.
How much are we talking about? Try $13 trillion. That's a 1-3 with 12 zeros after it. It's a number so big, your brain kind of shorts out just trying to imagine it. But here's the thing. It's not just some abstract figure on a screen. It's real cash, and all of it has to go somewhere.
So that begs the real question, right? When you hear about all this government spending, where do you think that money is actually ending up? I'll give you a hint. It's probably not where you think.
Yeah, see, this is where most of us get it wrong. We all see the headlines, about taxes and government budgets, and we think we know the story. But the real action, the real story, is happening just under the surface.
So we think, okay, our tax money pays for government salaries, maybe some public services, right? But in reality, a massive piece of that pie goes straight to private companies. They're the ones actually building the roads. They're the ones supplying the military. And yep, they're the ones writing all the software the government runs on.
And this is the key. You got to change how you look at this. This isn't charity. It's not a handout. It is, by far, the biggest business deal on the entire planet. The government, they're not just some abstract entity. They are the biggest, most reliable client on Earth, period.
Okay, so how does this actually happen? How does a government problem turn into someone's private fortune? The process is actually way simpler than you'd think, and it happens over and over, every single day.
It's a simple 4-step dance. Step 1, the government says, hey, we've got a problem. Maybe it's a new cybersecurity threat. Step 2, companies jump in and say, we can fix that, and they submit their bids. Step 3, one of those companies gets the golden ticket, a massive contract, sometimes for millions, sometimes for billions. And then step 4, boom, that company's value goes through the roof because they now have guaranteed money coming in.
And that right there, that's the magic moment. The instant that contract is signed, the game completely changes. A company goes from being a risky bet to a sure thing. Why? Because their income is now guaranteed by the most reliable payer in the world. And you better believe Wall Street notices. Investors pile in, the stock price just soars, and suddenly the founders are looking at billionaire status. It can happen that fast.
All right, so this sounds great, but where's the action really at? I mean, where are the biggest pots of gold? Well, while you can find these contracts in pretty much every industry, there are 3 areas where the money is just staggering.
First up, the big one you probably already guessed, defense. We're talking about companies getting contracts that lock in their revenue for decades. Not just for next year, but for the next 10, even 20 years. I mean, can you imagine that kind of stability for a business? And what makes that so valuable? Well, think about it from a business perspective. The government is literally the perfect customer. They can't go bankrupt. They always pay their bills on time. And, if they're ever a little short on cash, they can just print more money. Show me another client in the world who can offer that. You can't. Goldmine number 2 is infrastructure. You hear politicians talking about these massive trillion-dollar spending bills for roads and bridges, right? Well, what that really is a starting gun for a quiet gold rush. All that cash flows out to construction firms, engineering companies, and even the folks who just make the cement. And that brings us to the third and maybe the most modern gold mine, tech. Oh yeah. Governments are pouring billions and billions into things like cybersecurity, AI, and big data analytics. And here's the kicker with tech contracts, they're sticky. Once your software is deep inside a government system, it is an absolute nightmare for them to switch to a competitor. So you just keep getting those renewal checks year after year. Now, I know what you're probably thinking right now. Hold on. If this is such an amazing opportunity, why isn't everybody doing it? And look, that's a totally fair question. The answer really just comes down to perception. From the outside looking in, it just looks impossible, right? You imagine mountains of paperwork, a crazy maze of regulations, and you probably think you need to know a senator just to get in the door. And honestly, that's enough to make most people just give up before they even try. But here's the secret that most people don't get. The system isn't locked down. It's just misunderstood. You don't have to be some giant corporation to get a piece of the action. In fact, a lot of governments legally have to give a chunk of their contracts specifically to small and medium-sized businesses. It's built right into the rules.
So, what's the game plan? Well, first you gotta be smart. Figure out where the government is about to spend more money. Then build something that solves a very specific problem they have. If you're just starting out, don't go it alone. Partner up with a bigger company to learn the ropes. Then you have to be obsessive about playing by the rules. Compliance is everything. And once you get that first win, you use it to build momentum and go after those bigger, long-term deals. When you boil it all down, it really just comes down to a total shift in how you think. You have to stop thinking like a taxpayer and start thinking like a supplier. And that really gets to the core of it. All that complexity that scares everyone else away, that's where the opportunity is hiding. The money is in the mass. It's for the people who are willing to roll up their sleeves and figure it out. Here's the real difference. Most people are busy following the stock market or watching the drama of an election. The people who get rich from this, they're reading government budgets. They're digging through appropriations bills. They don't care about the political theater. They are laser focused on following the money. So here's what I want you to remember. The next time you see a headline about government spending, I want you to see something different. Don't just see taxes, see contracts. Because behind every single number in that budget, there's a problem that needs solving. And that means there's an opportunity. Somewhere, flowing in that $13 trillion river of cash, is a contract that is going to change someone's life, practically overnight. The only question left is, will it be yours?